The need for 230,000 surgical gowns, and I instructed FEMA to deliver them tomorrow, so they'll have the 230,000. That's Louisiana, New Orleans. 230,000 surgical gowns, they'll have them by tomorrow. We're expanding the role of the armed forces in our response effort because no one is better prepared to win a war than the United States military, and we are in a war. The invisible enemy, remember. Over 9,000 retired Army medical personnel have answered their nation's call and are now supporting field hospitals and medical facilities all across the country, like what I just told you, that Governor Cuomo requested we do something in Javits where we take it over, and we're going to have that manned by the military because it's very tough to get more people in the New York area, so we're going to have it manned by the military. Javits Center. National Guard members have been activated to help states build new treatment centers and assist in the seamless distribution of medical supplies. That includes National Guard. The National Guard is assisting very strongly because the states were, in many cases, unable to have the delivery capability from warehouses and other places that we put the supplies. So I've given approval to use the National Guards, the various National Guards in the different states. And they're doing a fantastic job of not only protecting people, but delivering material. The Army Corps of Engineers has assessed more than 100 facilities in all 50 states and is rapidly building temporary hospitals and alternative care sites in many states, in New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, Wisconsin, Ohio. They're doing a lot of work, and just those states plus additionals that will be announced probably tomorrow, but they're doing some job. The Army Corps of Engineers, what a job they're doing, and FEMA, what a job they're doing. As we deploy the power of our military, we're also deploying the skill of our doctors, scientists, and medical researchers. We continue to study the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine and other therapies in the treatment and prevention of the virus, and we will keep the American people fully informed on our findings. Hydroxychloroquine, I don't know, it's looking like it's having some good results. I hope that would be a phenomenal thing, but we have it right now. In approximately now, it's increased to 1,500 people. I spoke with Dr. Zucker in New York, terrific guy, by the way. We're doing a good job. And I spoke to Governor Cuomo last evening and this morning about it. So it's been there for about 3.5 days, but I think, and in many other places it's being tested too. And we have a tremendous supply of it. We've ordered it in the case that it works, and it could have some pretty big impacts, so we'll see what happens. My administration is also working to get relief to American workers and businesses in day one of the Paycheck Protection Program. As Kevin said, more than $3.5 billion in guaranteed loans have been processed to help small businesses keep their workers employed during this unprecedented time. And Bank of America has been incredible. Of the big banks, Bank of America has really stepped forward and done a great job. And then you have the community banks, your smaller banks, and we're already at $3.5 billion going out to incredible people, but that's way ahead of schedule. The SBA and the Treasury are working around the clock, and our banking partners are really incredible, and they're ensuring that the money gets to small businesses as quickly as possible, and then the small business, in turn, take care of employees that they would have had to let go, and now they'll keep them. And that's good. And then they're going to open for business, and they're going to have their employees, and we'll try and get back to where we were. Eventually, we're going to supersede where we were. The energy industry has been especially hard hit in the crisis. This afternoon, I met with Greg Garland of Phillips 66, Dave Hager of Devon Energy, Harold Hamm of Continental Resources, Jeff Hildebrand of Hillcorp Energy, Vicki Hollub of Occidental Petroleum, Mike Summers of the American Petroleum Institute, Kelsey Warren of Energy Transfer Partners, Mike Wirth of Chevron, and Darren Woods of ExxonMobil. I informed them that we will be making space available in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to let American producers store surplus oil that can be sold at a later time. There's a tremendous abundance of oil, primarily because of the virus. The virus has just stopped demand of everything, including oil. So we're working with our great energy companies. These are great companies. They employ tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And they've kept America really going for a long time, and no big price hikes, no big anything. I mean, they've just kept it going, and now they got hit. But with all the jobs and all of the good that they do, we're going to make sure that they stay in good shape. America is engaged in a historic battle to safeguard the lives of our citizens, our future society. Our greatest weapon is the discipline and determination of every citizen to stay at home and stay healthy for a long time. And we want them to stay healthy for a long time. So stay at home. This is ending. This will end. You'll see some bad things, and then you're going to see some really good things. And it's not going to be too long. We will heal our citizens, and we will care for our neighbors, and we will unleash the full might of the United States of America to vanquish the virus. And with that, I'd like to ask Mike Pence to come up, Vice President, say a few words, and we'll have a couple of other quick talks on a couple of subjects, and we'll take questions. And it's a beautiful Friday in Washington, D.C., and our country's a great place, and we're getting better. We're getting better very quickly. This was artificially induced. We just said, they said, close it down. You have to close it down. We closed it down, and we're healing, and we're going to get it better fast. So, Mike, if you could come up, say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The President just outlined a number of the decisions that he made today on the unanimous recommendation of the White House Coronavirus Task Force. In addition, some good news. Dr. Deborah Birx will reflect on in a moment in some of the areas across America where we see evidence that the mitigation efforts, the American people putting into practice the President's coronavirus guidelines are having a positive effect. In fact, today, California and Washington State, where the coronavirus first emerged in our country, the cases remain at a steady but low rate. And we know, as Governor Newsom said yesterday, that they're not out of the woods yet. We continue to flow resources. But we want to commend people in those states and all across the country for putting into practice the social distancing and all the measures that state and local leaders are advising, and that the President has been advising in the coronavirus guidelines for America. We're also continuing to track significant outbreaks in New York State, New Orleans, Detroit, Chicago, and Boston. And as the President indicated, we're prioritizing resources to support healthcare workers and to support those that are dealing with the coronavirus in those communities. On the subject of testing, now more than 1.4 million tests have been performed across the country. And as you all are aware, some 266,000 Americans have tested positive for the coronavirus. Abbott Instruments, which now can perform a 15-minute test across the country, have literally 18,000 of their machines across the nation today. But at the President's direction, FEMA is acquiring over 1,200 more machines to distribute to every state public health lab in America, and also to our Indian Healthcare Service. And the big news, of course, over the last few days was that the FDA, once again in near record time, has approved an antibody test developed by Cellex. And we're continuing on the White House Coronavirus Task Force to examine ways that we can scale up these rapid tests and these innovative new tests, not just to meet this moment, but to lay a foundation for testing across the nation in the months ahead. As the President mentioned, he met with energy executives today and continues to engage with leaders of businesses all across the nation. We also held a teleconference today with commercial retailers. On the President's behalf, we thanked them for the way that people that operate malls and shopping centers around the country have